Hello.
Hello.
Let's see what we are live. Here we go. Alrighty, I would say good morning, but that's already not going to work because here we are with Sisters Rocking Courage with Vreni from Switzerland. And in Switzerland, it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon there. So we are ready. Hi, Vreni. We are ready to have, we were already having a conversation. So some of our laughter is coming from what we do about this, the conversation we're going to have today. You have found Sisters Rocking Courage, and we are a group of women that are venturing out as entrepreneurs and creating businesses, making a difference, making an impact in the world, spreading hope. And so as we get started on the conversation today, I have a couple of things to announce. And one of them is my dear friend Leslie from the UK is my heart has been with her over the past couple of weeks because she has been battling pneumonia, and she has special situation about it. So she is finally feeling better. She always watches these. So I just want to say hi to Leslie and just welcome. I have goosebumps. Just welcoming her back to good health is fantastic. So part of, so that's part of one thing, but part of what we do with Sisters Rocking Courage is as we encourage you, I encourage you, whoever's watching, to post down below. It is so important, Vreni, you and I were talking about this earlier this week, that we give nuggets of wisdom and inspiration. And it's just really much more, it sticks in our head when we also commit to that. So for anybody who's watching, please do feel comfortable sharing your comments, sharing your questions. We're going to talk about it. As you can see with Vreni behind her, she is an artist and an international artist at that. I love what's in the background. Vreni, do talk to us about, even though I didn't tell anybody who I am, I'm Barbara Bolton Schreiber, the founder of Sisters Rocking Courage. So Vreni, do tell us about you and what you do, and let's talk about finding the beauty in life's challenges.
Yeah, so you already said like what I do, I find the beauty in life's challenge, like, and really literally through color, shapes and lines. So I'm an artist, and what I do is I help women, mostly living in the busy mess of raising kids as I am. I have 3 little ones, and well, not so little, but they're growing. And I help them finding the beauty in their daily chaos through art, and really creating that visual for them then to be reminded, so that they start finding the beauty during their daily, well, challenges. We were talking about challenges before.
And we're going to dig into that. Yeah.
To be able to make that mindset shift and focus on the beauty in their life, because there's so much beauty with those little ones, but there's also so much going on and so much stress and challenges in terms of mindset, time, well, all sorts of things, that it's easy to lose the focus on the beauty and just kind of drowning in this daily mess.
Well, and it's fascinating as you talk about that with your children, because that's one of the situations that we work through as entrepreneurs, is feeling like there's so many challenges. I've had so many conversations with women, like, as an entrepreneur, we're almost always learning something new. You know, yeah. I thought when we got to be a grown-up, when we started adulting, that life would get easier. But as we venture on this journey, it is finding the joy in doing something new every day. The joy in recognizing that there might be a different way to think about or to look at something, right?
Yes, and really then making it a habit to make that change in focusing on like just deliberately focusing on the positive things and on the beauty you're surrounded with.
Mhm. So when you talk about, because I know there's hot topics lately about toxic positivity, and I'm pretty firm about this because as a trauma survivor myself, I tend to focus on the positive because that's where your energy goes, right? That's what you create more of. So when you're looking at so much going on in the messiness of life.
I think, when you say toxic positivity,
Mhm.
um, for me, when I say focus on the beauty, it's not about denying that there's chaos. It's not about trying to erase it. It's not about, I think the word is denying, like it's acknowledging that there are breadcrumbs under the table and dirty socks on the couch, like they are there. But when you kind of just deliberately take that moment to focus on something beautiful,
Mhm.
and it will then kind of give you the energy to move those socks away and put out the vacuum cleaner, and go after the breadcrumbs.
Mhm.
And toxic positivity, I think for me, like the difference is when you just shut your eyes from those socks and breadcrumbs, and you just say like, but everything's okay, everything's great, like everything's perfect, everything's beautiful, and you'll never get the energy to remove those socks and breadcrumbs. It's
Mhm.
I think that's you need to acknowledge the bad things or messy things or whatever.
Mhm.
They are there. So just when I talk about my art, or when I make a reference to my art,
Mhm.
when I start working on a piece, maybe I just very quickly say like how I start a piece or how I work
Sure.
with my method.
Absolutely.
Others, but maybe others don't.
Mhm.
I really start intuitively by just drawing lines on the paper. And then I look at those lines, which are really an expression of my inner emotional state.
Mhm.
You could say it's like a brain dump when you write it all out in your journal. I do the same, but with lines in an artistic way.
Wow.
And then I start working on those.
Mhm.
And the goal is to transform it into a beautiful painting, but still to keep like the initial lines. It's not about erasing them. And so then it's still the ugliness from the beginning is in that painting as well. And that's what makes it so, most of the time, like interesting and a strong work. And I realized that when I kind of overwork it, when I clean it all up,
Mhm.
it becomes boring. It loses this tension, you might say.
Mhm.
So it's not as touching as a piece where there are still the initial lines that are shining through, or that it's creating interest. And I think it's the same thing with life.
Creating interest. I love how you just said that, because on my journey, Vreni, I've been talking a lot about releasing things, letting things go. And what you just said is keep it there and see the beauty, not get rid of it because it doesn't match.
Yes, or just maybe not get rid of it all, or it's also with our stories, like that's why we are where we are. It's our story. We would not be here and having like the wisdom and all the knowledge we have if we hadn't went through what what we all went through. So
Yeah.
it's just part of us. And yes, we may, like, for example, I have those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the first lines of a painting.
Mm-hmm.
It's all messy. It's all like like life is, sometimes.
Oh,
You can't
sure.
really,
Yeah.
you can't really see the pattern, or like what's like your entrepreneurial day. And then when I start working on them, I do not have the middle stages, but I have the finished piece.
Mhm.
So then you can still see,
Oh, it's beautiful. I love
you
the
can
colors.
still see, you know, some of the lines.
Oh,
They're not just, it's that then the line is cut, you know, but there's still those lines. Let me see like which way it is.
right. There's lines underneath. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like some of the lines are still underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would just make it a plane or just shape, you know, like just the round thing, just like one color, it would be boring in the end.
Right.
You know, just
Oh my
so
goodness.
That's what I mean. So maybe you need to release. Need to release some of it, but not everything, or it's not about erasing this out of your life or of your story.
Yeah, Bonnie is saying it makes her think of yin and yang, and that it's not about getting rid of it, it's about focusing on the feeling. So feeling good, like, and this is such a great segue into the work that you have behind you, where there's the 5 pieces. Oh, I'm sorry. I can keep talking.
Yes, we've been talking too much before.
I know. So Bonnie is also talking about, this is like seeing transformation. Yeah, and Kristen is saying such a great analogy for life and accepting all of our pieces.
Yes, you know, art for me, it's really teaching me about life. And I'm a huge fan of personal development and also neuroscience and all those techniques you can use to create change. And the interesting thing for me is that every time I create an artwork, I kind of learn something about life, or I see one of those concepts then kind of visualized through art, you know, like without words, just through the lines. I'm sorry.
Oh, I feel bad too. I'm so sorry, Vreni.
I brought one of those little drops. Let me take it. Luckily we're on Zoom, you know.
Yeah, right. So I love when you're talking about it, thinking about life through lines. Like, I've known you for a while now, and I've seen you work and been in some of your workshops where you take us through the process. I never thought about, because it's almost like meditation in action for some of us who have trouble calming our minds, that what the line where it's going, like every line has value.
Yes, absolutely. And still you have the power to change it. You know, even though you painted it, you have the power then to decide to erase it or decide to leave it.
I have goosebumps from head to toe. Uh-oh. So I have goosebumps from head to toe because you are helping me see this from a completely different perspective. I started out college, university, as a graphic arts major. And so I have a background. Yeah. So I have a background in, and it's funny that you talk about this, because my preferred media are ones that you can't change. I love watercolor. I love marker. I like India ink. Like, it's the things that you have to put them down and leave them. Because when I tried doing oils or acrylics, I just kept getting in there and messing it up, and it got muddier and muddier. So I'm so attracted to your style, because it is, you put it down there and then you bring the beauty out of what's there.
That's interesting. If you would go back and just reflect on why do you like those mediums and like what's happening with the others, and just look at it through the lens of life. Because for me, really, when I work on it, it's teaching me about life. And it's also, for example, that I am always looking for harmony and beauty. You know, I learned that, you know, as a trauma survivor, that like you're looking, you can't stand the tension, you know, like you're always trying to balance it all out and make it all beautiful. So I was challenged by a dear artist friend this summer, and he said, you know, let's try and do some messy work. And I'm like, I can't.
Oh my
I
goodness.
actually did, but I don't have it around. It's still in a box because I just finished an exhibition.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny when somebody challenges us. Yeah.
And it's always teaching me something about life. Like the art I make, it's teaching me about life. And the art I make for clients also, you know, because I take people through that process and let them draw their lines, as the pieces you mentioned, like up there, this is a commissioned work. And I had the lady coming in and she created the lines. That's what she created. Yes. And then she wanted to have like 5 different paintings in 5 different colors, which match a color therapy system she's working with in her practice. So that's what I created up there. And I took those lines and I created 5 different paintings. So every painting then, kind of when I started working on it, first, I was afraid of making wrong decision. You know, I was like, oh, should I do it this way? Should I do it this way? Should I just change those lines once or kind of transform them and then make 5 different colors of it? And then I decided no, to just work on each one of them separately. And all of a sudden I realized, you know, like there are no wrong decisions. There are going to be different paintings, but like in the end, as I finished, I love them all. And it's kind of, it taught me about life that there are no wrong decisions. You know, we're going to end up somewhere else, but who is judging if it's right or wrong?
We are, right?
It's us. Yeah.
What I love
Absolutely.
that. So each one of those paintings came from the same, each of the 5 different colors came from a different space, but it was the same origin.
Yeah, they all came from those lines. So I transferred those lines on the canvas. And then I just started working on the lines on the canvas, expanding them or confining some areas, or just let me take one down. Yeah,
that would be great. So is each one starts with the exact, oh, look at that.
They all started with those lines.
Exactly the same. You didn't change any of the lines. They just evolved. Look at how beautiful that is, Vreni. They just evolved as you were working through them for how they wanted to show up. Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous.
So now I'll try to take another one.
Now let me stick up for your client. She did the drawing with her eyes closed.
Yes.
This isn't bad artwork.
I'm sorry. She's not artistic at all. And the funny thing was that she said, you know, she wanted to commission those paintings, and she did not know about my technique, about my approach, about my method.
Yes.
So she just loved my art. And then I said, you know, like I do commissions, but I have this method I take people through, and I do not do other commissions. You know, you can't come and tell me, please paint me 3 blue flowers. You know, like, no, I won't.
Right.
So I told her about my process, and she then said, she was thinking about it, and then she wrote me an email and she said, okay, let's do it. So when she arrived in my studio, she was standing in front of the door, and then she said, you know what? I never drew since I left college. Because I've been so terrible in drawing classes, and I already start trembling when my kids asked me to draw a flower. I was like, I can't. So she did a great job, but it's really, you don't need to have any artistic talent or training at all. It's meditative process we go through. And then we close our eyes and we draw with eyes closed. And the meaning or the reason why we do this is that we really want to focus on the feeling and on the left side of the brain, which is about the emotions, about all the subconscious. And we really want to create from this side. And by closing the eyes, we can shut down like the analytic part who would interfere when it's looking at what we create. Like, for example, if she would not have had her eyes closed, I'm pretty sure she would have filled that space, you know?
Right.
She would have realized that it's not balanced, or it's not centered, or it's not. So by not looking at it, it's really just from deep inside that we create.
Yeah. Well, and that's what Bonnie says, eyes closed is drawing from our inner self. And then she was also saying meditation in motion. She loves that. She does expressive dance. And that's so this has me thinking, as we're talking about nuggets, about what is our meditation in motion. So you've helped her. Yeah, Kristen was saying it's so easy to get stuck in that thinking. We stop ourselves from moving forward with the right, wrong, perfectionist overthinking. This is brilliant, Vreni, because there's a piece of this that when we have our eyes open and we're doing all the thinking, we miss out on what beauty is really there.
Yes. Yes. And we miss out about how we're feeling. You know, like we are so in this analytical mind and we do not focus on the body, which is kind of speaking volumes all the time, but we just don't listen. So while I do those lines with clients or in workshops with a group of people, often they tell me, you know, like it was such an intense feeling in my body while I was creating the lines. And it's just because the eyes are closed that you're able to really experience it and really be aware of it.
So I want to go back to something that we were talking about right before we started the call, where you called me out, where we were talking about life's challenges and about, especially as what we do mirrors to those around us, and about really looking at it. When you talk about, here's a woman that came to you that said, I don't draw. I would like you to create beauty for me, but this isn't something that I am good at. Right there is that like good, bad, right, wrong, right? So there's a piece of this. You said that you try to not call these parts of life challenging.
Yeah, I really try to be very aware of the words I use. And I think just calling it a challenge, because like, it was about kind of organizing the kids and doing my art and having like this interview we now have, because my kids are just playing outside. They're riding their bicycles. Maybe you hear them screaming from time to time. It's all organized. They have food. They have their bicycles. I can almost see them through the window, you know. So yeah. And you said, you know, like organizing those challenges. And I was looking at this like a challenge for a long time. And I had this mindset or this struggle about, I can't be a good mom and an artist at the same time. You know, it's not possible. You know, it's a challenge. There is not enough time. I won't be a good mom, or I won't be a good artist if I do it both. And I realized also it's all about my language. It's all about my words. It's all about like how I phrase things. And I started eliminating the word challenge for myself as good as much as possible. There are still challenges, like when dogs are barking or whatever. Yes, so that's just something I try to to really, really focus on and be aware of, be conscious about my words, and to not make it a challenge, even though sometimes it's difficult, but that's part of the acknowledging that there are challenges, or that it is difficult from time to time still. So not denying it, but then on the other hand, try to refocus and find another approach. Now your dog's barking. I'm coughing. It's great.
My neighbor has hunting dogs, and so he just came out and got them out, and the dog wants to go. So it's just funny that this is the part of the conversation, and energy flows, right?
Yes.
So Bonnie is saying, and our words come from our thinking, which comes from our beliefs, which came from outside of ourselves. That is so true. Yeah, Kristen is saying the words we use, especially with ourselves, they're so powerful.
Yeah.
But we've gotten used to them, because so many of the words that we use, we're not always conscious. And honestly, when I put together the title, like looking for beauty in life's challenges, like, you know what? Because there's that whole philosophy of what you focus on expands. So if we're talking about that, the beauty of it is that there is beauty and joy. I was talking with a friend the other day, and a situation came up, and I said, is there a way to look at what the gift is in this situation? Because we are so used to looking at things as being, I'll speak for me, I'm so used to looking at things as being good or bad. Things are it's either yes or no, right or wrong, on or off. And when you start getting into the shades of color, even though you have 5 colors behind you in those commissioned pieces, there are shades of those colors.
Yes. Yes. It's really, yeah, I think like everything is connected and intertwined, like life and my art and the challenges and the thinking, like it's just, so my art is just another way of looking at life.
Sure.
And dealing with life.
Well, and I guess, so, okay, not going into the toxic positivity, but I'm like, wait a minute, you are challenging me to think of like, what is another word that we could substitute instead of challenges? So when a situation comes up, I mean, sometimes people call them blessings, but like when a situation comes up, like, is there a word that's equally as powerful that can be like, oh, a beautiful thing happened today? Instead of a challenge, I'm working through a beautiful situation.
Yes, or just, like it's still not, it's because I don't succeed in erasing the word challenge from my life at all as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just not focusing on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still seeing that there is a challenge or a problem, but then just let's move on to find a solution.
Sure. Well, and it's the energy that gets attached with it, I think, because if you look at something like, I'm just trying to think, for example, like there's some days when you have something that you have to do that is more challenging. Oh my goodness, Vreni, we use this word all the time.
Yes. That requires more thinking.
Oh my goodness. Or leaning into
that
feeling
is,
it.
That is making you use all your skills,
Yeah, it's funny. I love this, especially as we're talking about shades of color. Like, this is just like, how bright do we want our life to be? How much beauty and joy do we want in our life? And so when you're thinking about it as shades of color, I love the visual of the red piece behind you that has pinks and it has darkers. So as we look at that, what shades do we want in our life? Do we want 2, black or white? Or do we want a palette of, and that's the whole thing of, if I look at something as a challenge, The dog wants to be heard. If I look at something as a challenge, I will face it differently than if I look at it as a gift or as, and not to say that we're going to ignore it, because I find I don't get stuck if I look at what the options are or the solutions, or I think with David Barry talks about, the intelligent question. Instead of
Yes.
being defeated by the challenge, being energized by the challenge.
Yes, and you know what you said about the colors. Do we want black and white, or do we want different shades? And if we want to have a lot of light in it and a lot of like bright colors, we still want to have black.
Yes.
Because the painting is gonna be just boring if there is no dark color. Like if the values aren't balanced, if there is no dark values in the painting, it's not gonna be a strong painting.
Yeah,
so it's just part of life, like we live on this earth and there is duality and we can't ignore it. But yes, I like my paintings brighter, I have some black, but not too much. So
well, and if you took the black away, there wouldn't be the boundary lines, they wouldn't be as bold.
Yes, and they wouldn't be as interesting just from a perspective of composition. You need the darker values to make strong work.
You have completely changed my thinking this morning, Vreni, because I was on a path of really, I was on a path of really looking at what I wanted in my life and what I didn't want in my life. And so what you've done is made that richer by it not just being cut and dry, black and white. It's and there's more. In one of our other conversations, we were talking about, Deepak Chopra was saying, what are the colors on your plate? I think, oh yeah, that's the one that you remember too. Yes, we had talked about that. What are the colors on your plate? Like, are we creating meals that have color? And so as we start to think about it, like, do our feelings have color? Do our thoughts have color?
Yes. And I think like, it's just some people do respond to colors as some people do respond to words. And I do communicate through colors a lot, but for me, I really think it's kind of a vibrational thing, because everything has its energy and its vibration. So every color has a vibration, as every food has a vibration, as every word has a vibration. So it's just like people do react or understand just different means of communication better or differently. And for me, I'm absolutely the person who is responding to color and communicating through color and lines and shapes. And I sometimes have difficulties to explain in words what I feel or what I experience or what my art is about. I made huge progress, but it's really, for me, sometimes I need a lot of time to put into words what I understood through my art, which is very intuitive for me. So if somebody is coming into my studio and creating those lines, and I go work on those lines, and I really just tune in on an intuitive level, and I use my empathy and just the creative talent to transform those lines, then often when we talk about a situation with the client, or what those lines are about, or what I experienced when I was working on those lines, we kind of find insights for life.
Oh my goodness.
But it's not coming to me in words.
Right.
And it took me a long time to understand for myself that this is first a gift, and second, like, there are other people experiencing the same, like having trouble expressing through words what's going on, because that's how I developed this method. Like I was well, I still am a teacher, and I quit my job when I had my second child, and I stayed at home. And I was just caring for our two kids at the time, and my husband was working, and I was expecting to be just a happy mom. And I realized after a while that I wasn't. And my husband then suggested that I'll go and take an art class. And it was in that moment that I realized that I had stopped doing my art. And he was constantly asking me, you know, like, what's wrong? What do you want? And I could not express it. You know, I was just feeling this terrible mess inside, but I could not tell him what was wrong or what the problem was. And then when I went to that art class, I got frustrated even more because I was not able to produce like beautiful artwork. I was just scribbling, and wow, it was just a terrible mess on my paper. And I then realized, you know, that's how I really express what's inside of me. And that there are people looking at it and understanding what I expressed. And that there are others who don't.
Wow.
We kind of talk about it, you know, and if there are people just talking, I'm like, okay, so what? It's just different means of communication. So, and then when I started seeing those terrible lines and asking myself if I could make something beautiful out of it, with just what I learned about art before, all the knowledge I had and all the skills, I kind of not developed, but discovered like this method. And I discovered that it's changing something then also for me inside, because it was what I expressed, what's inside of me. And I just got it out on paper. So I was able to work on it without really taking it to the mind and putting it into words and having to analyze it. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating because I think most of us know what type of learner we are. Like you're either visual, audible, or
kinesthetic is another one.
I think so. Yeah.
Is this an English word?
Yeah, it is. So with that, I don't think you have me thinking about what type of processor we are. Like, how do we process our thoughts, our life? Like, we know that we bring in information differently, that we acquired information differently. Yeah. So now it's like, I've never even thought about it. I have a friend who one of her ways to get her frustration out is she teaches people to throw eggs at a tree, to like just get that frustration, like get it up and out of your body. And so this is really opening for me as an entrepreneur. Of course, we have things that frustrate us. And how do we move more quickly through them? Because that's, as we talk to each other, as we get farther in this journey, those feelings still come up. They just move more quickly because we become more accustomed to them.
Yeah,
but
we learn to process them.
But Vreni, you're talking about doing this in a way that has never, like, as we in America spend less time doing art inspired thing, even in the school systems, like that's part of what's being cut out. We're actually looking at changing an option for how kids start processing what they do, how they learn to process.
Yes, you know, like there is a kind of a whole therapy system, like the art therapy.
Right.
And you know, what I think that the method I use is kind of an art therapy approach. And I just release my emotions, my tension on the paper. So I think this is a great way of processing those things, and also like really possible for kids to do. So this is something you could advise your kids to do, and it's really easy, you know. So everybody's able to do this.
It's fascinating. Alka's commenting that there is no wrong decision. So when we're looking at, getting things out of, processing them in a visual way, that there are no wrong decisions. And Kristen is saying it's so helpful to think of it that way. Do we want only 2 colors in our lives or all the colors?
Yes. Yes.
And being
And
able
it's
to,
also okay then sometimes to have a painting in just one color, you know, to just decide and go with the shades.
Mhm.
And it's coming back again to what Elke said. There's no right or wrong. It's just what you prefer or do you decide.
And it can change too. So
Yes.
this can be what it is for now. And then as we move forward, then we grow and evolve, and it can change.
Yes, absolutely. Like you, every or most girls like pink, you know, when they're little, but then it changes, you know. So luckily they're growing. So because you have to change their wardrobe, it's great they're growing and they outgrow the pink.
If you look back at pictures of me when I was 16, I had on lace, and my birthday cake was pink and purple.
How much pink is in your wardrobe today? It's
Not much, yeah. If it is, it's more of it's a bolder color. It's not pink per se. It's more of a, yeah, like a fuchsia probably. I've got a turtleneck that color. Yeah. So Vreni, we have talked for 45 minutes and it has gone so fast. And honestly, I'll be going back through and watching this again and pulling the nuggets out, because I just think that there were so many nuggets. And we could talk forever too, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we could, that's what we said before, you know, like we could make it a series.
We could. This is just brilliant. And I know in the UK they use the word brilliant a lot, but it really is. I'm looking at the painting behind you with the limes and the neon greens. It is just so pretty, and really thinking about, so it's funny because I ran into somebody, I thought my story was just my story. So from the trauma that I had experienced, and I ran into somebody who had the exact same story, and we were both like shocked. And the minute that we knew that somebody else had our same story, it didn't matter anymore. It went away. And now you're helping me look at it and say, wait a minute, don't let it go away. Like, let's spend a little bit more time with it and bring out the beauty that's there. So I'm just grateful for you.
Yes, thank you. I'm grateful for you. I'm loving those courageous conversations. I'm looking forward to more of them, like with other very interesting women.
Oh, it is. It's fascinating. I think we're up to over 20 different women now, and that it's continuing to grow because there is such a want and a need for us as women to be connected with others that are challenging us. Oh no. That are encouraging us and wanting to see us, grow into. Because that's like this journey, once we start that path of growing into, of exploring, of questioning and wondering, right? It's a path of wonderment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you just got back from an exhibit. I know we've done a lot of links to, they can see some of your work that way. And we're working on a couple of collaborations possibly in January, but how else can people talk to you, get to know you, maybe even practice their own process?
Well, I am on Facebook under Vreni Renggli Art, just my name and the art. I'm on Instagram as well, Vreni Renggli, and I do have my website. It's just www.vrenirenggli.ch, which stands for Switzerland. And yeah, it's always like, that's a typo, isn't it? It's calm. I'm like, no, it's CH.
Oh no.
So it's just all my name. That's the advantage of having a pretty unique name.
It is. So we'll definitely put those links below. And then I know you're a rock star with Instagram or Facebook.
You think so?
Oh yeah. Because I was just gonna say, any women out there, I'm gonna post this in Sisters Rock and Courage too. I need some help. I need a little bit of training, because you were doing your stories this morning, you and Kristen, and I'm like, how did they do that? So we will.
That's easy, but I'm not a rock star, but this one is easy. So what I want to mention, as you said, like to practice the lines or really try to experience my process. If you go to my website, somewhere there you can get a recording from a workshop I did. And there's just a cutout of the exercise part. And you can go and experience like the creation of the lines.
Oh, wow.
and just go through this process with me.
Rennie, I'll look at that and we'll put that in the comments below so anybody who's watching this can also experience. Terry Rada is also watching. Bonnie had to leave, but she said, thanks for this powerful conversation. Love it. Yeah.
Thank
All
you for
righty.
joining.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for being here. And I hope your kids are still doing all right out there on their bicycles.
They are, and it's almost dark here, you know, it's
Oh.
getting evening, and they now have to leave in 5 minutes to go to their
right.
corner.
All righty. So we
But
will
they're all
say,
instructed, they know what to do, you know.
we will say goodbye for now. This is December, it's holiday season, so we'll keep you posted on when the next conversations are coming up. But thank you so much for being here. And anybody, if you have any questions, we've got some thank you ladies that are coming through here. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye-bye.